Hello and good afternoon. It's still afternoon. It's still light out, but I wanted to get this video out semi quickly because I need to go and, do things like make lunch and stuff like that. And I've kind of had a bit of a rough morning, so I'm just kind of get a bunch of stuff done before I collapse in a heap again later today. Anyway, so I dermaplaned my face recently, and I hadn't done it in probably at least a month, if not 2 months, because I've not been well. And the effort to, the thought of dermaplaning and the effort was just too much for me to cope and deal with, because I was doing the bare minimum when it came to just self-care. And anyway, so I finally have come to the point where I'm feeling a bit better, and I decided, these fuzzy little peach fuzz hairs is just really getting a bit out of control, and I need to do something about it. So I finally dermaplaned my face. I used the sort of powder spray method that I've seen being advertised. And I can talk about it in another video in more detail if anybody's interested. But I saw an ad for people who were using like this spray powder on their face, which shows all the hairs, and then you just dermaplane, and I thought, oh, that sounds good, I'll try it. But I wasn't going to pay $30 for a can of basically spray powder. So I used dry shampoo. I was very careful, don't worry. And it did work, and it worked really, really well. So I did that for the first time, like fully all over my face, rather than just as a little bit of an experiment. When I dermaplaned most frequently, and it did work out really, really well. So I can talk about that a bit more. But today I just wanted to very briefly talk about what I think of dermaplaning and how I feel about it after having done it for, I think, almost a year now, 9, 10, 11 months, after never having had to shave ever, because I'm just not a hairy person. It's the Asian genetics, okay? And with menopause, one of the things was that I was getting a lot more peach fuzz, visible peach fuzz on my face, and it was, bothering me because I'm vain like that. So I researched dermaplaning, and I do have some older videos about, when I started dermaplaning and what it was like and how challenging I found it. I still don't love it. I try to do it now once every 2 weeks if I can, just to stay on top of it. And that seems to work for me, but usually it ends up being every 3 weeks. When I'm in a routine, but I haven't done it in almost 2 months. So, this recent time when I did it was a lot. But I wanted to talk about sort of a few things. One of them, I see asked a lot, even amongst my friends, is, does the hair grow back? The peach fuzz? Yes, it always grows back. Does it grow back faster and thicker? No. It still stays that fine, fuzzy peach fuzz when it grows back. But it does grow back, and you do have to stay on top of it if you don't want the peach fuzz on your face. Is it worse? Is it longer? Is it thicker? No. All of those things, the answer is no. It just grows the same normal speed that hair grows wherever it grows on you. if you have hair growing, depending on your own personal body's hair growing speed, okay? And everybody is different, right? Some people it's worse, some people it's faster, some people it's slower, you know. I talked to my mom about it, and she kind of looked at considering doing it, but then she decided that dermaplaning looked all too scary, so she just wasn't gonna do it, and she was just gonna live with the peach fuzz on her face, and that's fine. One of the things that I found very challenging was just getting used to doing it, and it was scary. You do need to practice. You do need to find a razor that works for you. You do need to find a method that works for you. A lot of people recommend doing it on a dry face. That terrified the heck out of me. And in the early days, I was nicking and cutting myself a lot because I would try some of the cheaper razors and things like that. Buy a good quality razor. Find one that you like. You might have to go through a few before you find one that you really like that works for you, but then, you know, when you find a good quality one, stick with it. And I'm not gonna recommend a razor because I kind of just bounce around a few. I've tried the Real Techniques ones, those are good. I've tried the Shtick ones, they're pretty good. But again, if you want me to talk about the razors that I use and the ones that I like, do that, but don't buy cheap razors, okay? Don't buy the Daiso razors, and don't buy the Tinkle razors or whatever, because they're not made properly unless you're very, very skilled and you know what you're doing. You will nick yourself and cut yourself. And I'm not a fan of cutting my face and having it bleed. So I tossed out all my old, what do you call those? Tinkle razors, or twinkle razors. I mean, you can get them from Amazon. They're like $4 for 20 or something ridiculous like that. It's just, for me, it's not worth cutting my face with them, and I'm just not skilled or good enough because I haven't been doing it like my whole life. So if you're just starting out, you know, you can try one, but just be aware that you could possibly cut yourself and cut your face. And then you have to live with that. Fortunately, the nicks tend to be fairly small, so they stop bleeding pretty quickly and they heal up pretty quickly. If you're worried about scarring, get like a good quality scar gel from your pharmacy and apply it over it once the cut has closed and it's scabbed over and it's stopped bleeding. That helps, I find. And other than that, what else? Your face will be sensitive after you've dermaplaned, so make sure you get a really good quality, gentle, soothing, barrier repair, barrier soothing type toner, essence, serum, ampule, moisturizer. I'm not sure if I talked about those in my previous video, but again, if you want to see a video just focused on the skincare that I use after dermaplaning and what I do, I'm happy to do that too, because I have a separate set of skincare that I use just for when my skin is feeling very sensitive after dermaplaning, because don't forget, you're taking a razor to your face. So not only are you removing the peach fuzz, but you are also, in essence, exfoliating your face and taking off the first, like, top layer of your, you know, your dermis and your skin. So, and this is all just from my own personal experience, because I'm not I do have a background in beauty therapy, but I'm not a professional esthetician. You know, I don't do this for a living anymore, and I'm not a professional or anybody with medical or any of that kind of training. So this is just my experience. The other thing that I find, sorry, back to the skincare. Don't use anything active and don't use anything strong for the first night after you dermaplane and the next day that you dermaplane. So don't like wake up the next morning and whack an acid on your face, because it will sting and you will feel it. And this is coming from somebody who is very familiar with acids, and I use a lot of acids in my skincare, and my skin can tolerate it. But right after dermaplaning, no, my skin is not having any of it. Anyway, so aside from that, one thing I do find is, and this is purely an aesthetic thing, is that my skin after dermaplaning is so smooth, and it does feel soft and nice. But I struggle, and I think I talked about it in a previous video too, I struggle with getting foundation to stay and look good on my skin. And all my pores, especially around here, seem to look a lot more prominent after I've dermaplaned. Okay, so I generally don't use foundation the day or two after dermaplaning. And then when I do, if I have a meeting or if I have to go somewhere, I notice that when I'm applying stuff, I mean, sort of conversational distance, people are not really going to notice, okay? But when I'm doing it and I'm putting the makeup on my face, I notice it. And it's that my pores are very prominent, like around here. And so I always find that my foundation and my makeup goes on and looks a lot better, sort of like 3 or 4 or 5 days after the dermaplaning, when a little bit of the peach fuzz is starting to come back, because I guess, it's exposed, the dermaplaning has actually exposed all the pores, and there's less distance between, the surface of my skin and the pores and all that sort of stuff. Don't exactly know how it works scientifically. A dermatologist would probably be able to explain it a lot better, but just for me, I noticed that the pores are more obvious. It's a bit harder to get my foundation to work well and to cover better. And I can still see the pores, and it looks obvious to me and sort of exposed. What I do is I try to use a much more pore filling, blurring primer sort of when that happens. Generally, I like and prefer a pore filling primer anyway, because if you've watched my videos for any period of time, you know that I'm always fighting with the sebaceous glands and my the sebaceous filaments in my nose and my pores on my nose and sort of a little bit around here. So I generally prefer a pore filling primer anyway, but after I dermaplane, it seems to be a lot more critical, and it's something that I need to do a lot more. And so that's kind of what I do. And then I use a sponge, and I just make sure that I'm put a bit extra effort into just pushing my foundation and blending my foundation in a lot better. And then I use a blurring primer to set, blurring powder to set. And if I don't, then I make sure that I use a good finishing powder. And I'm happy to talk through, because I'm just talking about technique at the moment, okay, and things that I'm experiencing. And I'm happy to talk through actual products that I use and things like that, and go through all of that, is if anyone's interested, because I do get asked that a lot by my friends. And I'll probably make a video of it for them if they're interested and things like that. But, it's really about just making sure that, for me, making sure that I can, disguise the pores as much as I can, so they're not so visible until a little bit, tiny little bit of the peach fuzz starts to grow again, so that my face looks smoother. I don't know, okay, how or why and that all works in terms of like the ratio between no peach fuzz whatsoever the day after I apply, I've dermaplaned, versus 4 weeks or 2 months of peach fuzz, which is, oh my god, that looks really long. I need to do something about it, which is why I sort of say like 2 weeks is sort of the sweet spot for me, where after 2 weeks, I can see the peach fuzz. It looks like I need to do something about it. And, you know, 2 to 3 weeks, I get rid of it. Then I kind of deal with the, like, right after dermaplaning for a day or two, and then everything sort of settles back again, and my skin kind of just settles down. Because I think it is a bit of a shock, because, you know, you're taking a razor to your face, and unless you're a guy and you're used to it and you're shaving every single day, I think it can be quite, I don't know, traumatic for the skin. I know I've seen some videos of ladies who talk about, you know, dermaplaning every day, and that just seems absolutely terrifying to me. That is not something that I would ever do, because it just seems like I would be scraping my skin absolutely raw, and I'm not giving my skin time to recover and breathe and just settle in. And frankly, the peach fuzz on my face does not grow so fast that I do need to dermaplane every day. And I saw a video, I don't remember who it was, watching a lady who was gonna start dermaplaning, and she talked about it, and she was dermaplaning every day for 3 days, and then she backed off, and she was like doing it every 3rd day, and then she was doing like once a week, because she did say it was too much, and it felt like too much, because don't forget, you're scraping your face with a razor, you're taking off that first layer of skin on your face, and, you know, you're exposing a lot of stuff. So yeah, that's kind of sort of the few things that I've learned and I'm experiencing with dermaplaning. I'm still learning. I learn every time I do it, and I don't by no means am saying that I'm an expert. I am not. This is just my experience, what I'm learning and what I'm doing, and I just want to, I don't know, share what I'm learning, because I have friends who ask, and it's easier for me to make a video for 10 or 15 minutes. Well, knowing me, it's probably like 20 or 30 minutes, because I talk a lot, explaining what I do and what I go through, rather than having to kind of repeat myself all the time, because I'm also not very good at that. So yeah, that's it. Those were the things I wanted to talk about. There may be more things, maybe next time. Let me know if you want to, you know, hear about the razors, the products and things that I use, and I will see you next time. Thank you for watching. If you have made it to the end, leave a peach emoji. Echo, leave a peach emoji. I know you watched this, because if not, I will find you. You guys are going to be like, who the hell is Echo? My parents asked the same question. Who is this Echo person you keep tagging and everything? She's a friend of mine. And she's just a sweet, sweet, sweet girl. Anyway, so yes, leave a peach emoji. Thank you. Do all the YouTube-y things, like, comment, subscribe. I really appreciate you. And I will talk to you next time. Bye-bye.